Worryless, you've done something foolish. How could you with this kind of person? Patriarch Nya had an awful expression on his face. He actually led people here to attack the Nya family, and the entire independent state is about to learn he's actually Tongtong's real father. Where should the Nya family place their pride now? Sir Patriarch, it's a misunderstanding. It's really a misunderstanding. One of the four Azuras cried. Scram! Patriarch Nya shouted. Sure, no problem. Where does your esteemed self want me to scram? Patriarch Nya didn't want to respond to him, and turned back to Yuanwan. I won't approve of him, Worryless. Worryless, he's too absurd. Madame Nya also said. Dad, Mom. Yuanwan looked at her parents. Don't worry. If you two don't approve of him, I won't approve of him, and Tangtang also won't approve of him. Patriarch Nya and Master's expressions improved slightly after hearing that. Why are you all dawdling here? Get lost already. Patriarch Nya yelled at the audience. Go. Let's go. Heavenly Azura quickly waved his hand and led Lin Ke and the others away. After Patriarch Nya's admonishment, the other observing factions also left tactfully. Soon, Si Yihan was the only one left in front of the Nya residence. Let's go. Patriarch Nya waved his hand, leading Yuanwan and the others back inside the house. Dad. Mom. He's Lord Azura, so he'll be pointed and stared at if he keeps standing in front of our house. It wouldn't be good for us either, so how about we let him come inside first? This way, we can discuss everything out in the open too. After all, he's Tongtong's father. Yuanwan suggested softly. No. He's prohibited from taking a single step inside the Nya estate. Patriarch Nya replied. Madame Nya glanced at Patriarch Nya instantly. Worryless is right. Let him come in first. Even if Worryless breaks all ties with him, they have to talk it out, or else what good would it be? But, Patriarch Nya frowned lightly. What but? I said let him enter. Madame Nya turned to Si Yihan and said, come inside. Okay. Si Yihan nodded and walked behind Yuanwan, conscientiously keeping a small distance between himself and Yuanwan. The current Si Yihan greatly resembled a child who did something wrong, and a rare trace of anxiety appeared in his eyes. Inside the Nya living room, Yuanwan stared at Si Yihan. Why are you standing there? Hurry and pour some tea for my dad and mom and admit your mistakes already. Si Yihan. No need, we can't afford it. Otherwise, what if he besieged our Nya family again when he's unhappy one day? Patriarch Nya snorted. Si Yihan. Apologize to my dad and mom first and admit your wrongs. Yuanwan ordered with a frown. Si Yihan looked at Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya. It was a misunderstanding. Yuanwan nearly spat on Si Yihan's face. Was his EQ actually low, or was he faking it? She freaking told him to apologize and he gave her a, it was a misunderstanding? I told you to apologize. What misunderstanding, huh? Yuanwan urgently yelled. Doesn't he see how angry dad and mom are? Pacify them. Hey, do you freaking know how to pacify someone? Patriarch Nya, Madam Nya, I'm sorry. It was my fault for not understanding things clearly first. Finally, Si Yihan apologized and bowed toward Madam Nya and Patriarch Nya. As Tangtang stared at Si Yihan standing in the middle of the living room, he tugged on Yuanwan's sleeve. Mommy, is he really my real dad? And Yuanwan nodded. However, now wasn't the time to fuss about whether he was Tongtong's real dad or not. They needed to figure out how to allow this real dad to redeem himself. Yuanwan inspected her parents and discovered they were rather furious indeed, especially after learning Tangtang was her and Lord Azura's son. Forget about Azura's reputation in the independent state for now. The simple fact that Lord Azura led people to besiege the Nya residence today and spoke arrogantly made Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya unable to back down. Yuanwan felt helpless. Si Yihan seriously had a one-track mind. Even if something happened, couldn't he call her first and at least figure out the situation first? However, anything they said now would be too late. Now that things had reached this point, there wasn't a regret pill for him to take, and they could only rack their minds for a solution to repair things. Based on the current look of things though, Dad and Mom were in the peak of their anger, so anything they said probably wouldn't be too effective. Furthermore, with Si Yihan's EQ, it'd be better if he talked less. Si Yihan stood quietly in the living room, and Patriarch Nia and Madame Nia were also uninterested in speaking to Si Yihan, so the atmosphere was rather awkward. Head back first. Yi Wanwan told him a while later. Si Yihan apologized already, and it was inadvisable to rush everything else. They had to allow her parents to calm down first. Right. Let him go back first, Patriarch Nia also said. Si Yihan looked at Yi Wanwan then Tang Tang, as though unwilling to leave just like this. Yi Wanwan sent him a look when she saw that. He got into such big trouble, so there was no way the Nia family's anger would dissipate that easily. If Si Yihan remained there and didn't leave, it'd only produce the opposite effect and further displease Madame and Patriarch Nia. Please excuse my many offenses today. I'll visit another day to make amends, Si Yihan said to Patriarch and Madame Nia before turning to leave. Wait! Madame Nia suddenly called out. Si Yihan paused immediately and turned to Madame Nia. Explain yourself first. What's going on between you and my daughter, worryless? Madame Nia asked him. Si Yihan's gaze landed on Yi Wanwan. He didn't know how to answer this question. Mom, I'll tell you about this later. Yi Wanwan hastily interjected. I'm asking Lord Azura, Madame Nia said. Madame Nia. Si Yihan looked at Madame Nia as he briefly explained the past events. After hearing the story, Madame Nia glanced at Yi Wanwan before telling Si Yihan to leave for now. After Si Yihan left, Madame Nia finally turned to Yi Wanwan with a deep frown. Worryless, you should know who he is. This kind of person is vicious and cruel, and would commit any imaginable misdeed. How could your dad and I hand you and Tang Tang over to him without worrying? Yi Wanwan. Indeed, to outsiders, Lord Azura's actions and style were abnormal. However, that applied merely to outsiders. Her dad and mom didn't know Si Yihan well, so it was normal for them to have apprehensions. If Yi Wanwan put herself in their shoes, she would share the same concerns as a parent. Mom, don't worry, I know what I should do. Yi Wanwan replied to Madame Nia with a smile. No matter what, she needed to placate her parents first. There were plenty of future opportunities in this pacification endeavor. After Si Yihan returned to Azura's headquarters, he immediately called Yi Wanwan, wanting to figure out some solution to rescue the situation. However, right now, they could only wait for an opportunity since this misunderstanding was rather enormous. 3 days later, an uninvited guest arrived at Azura's headquarters. Jiang Yan entered Si Yihan's office and looked at Si Yihan. My lord, that nameless Nia came, and brought a group with him. They're taking everything valuable like a group of bandits, including the supplies we just bought. Si Yihan expressionlessly closed a document on the desk, and calmly stood up. Take me there. Yes. Jiang Yan snorted. He didn't believe that nameless Nia could still act so presumptuously when his lord was personally there. A moment later, Jiang Yan led Si Yihan to Azura's warehouse. Elite members of Azura encircled the warehouse. They were enraged as they watched spray of flowers and brick-moving foreigner moving the cargo in the warehouse, as though they were moving things from their own house. However, the Azura members didn't dare to block nameless Nia, since he was the uncle of young master of Azura. But, even if he was young master's uncle, wasn't he going too far? Who would move things from someone else's storage like this? Who were they? Put it down. When Jiang Yan stood in the warehouse and saw nameless Nia about to move the cargo they were about to trade with other factions, he was instantly enraged and screamed. However, nameless Nia and his group didn't seem to have heard him. They were immersed in their own world and wholly focused on moving the supplies, mumbling to themselves. We're rich this time. My lord, look at them. They aren't members of the Nia family. They're clearly a group of bandits. Jiang Yan was enraged. They were freaking shadier than the Fearless Alliance. Compared to nameless Nia and his team, the Fearless Alliance was nothing. When the Fearless Alliance robbed things, at least they went to rob them, whereas nameless Nia and his team matter-of-factly moved them like they were in their own home. What was more aggravating was that they were moving things in front of them. Stop! How dare you rob our warehouse in front of Lord Azura? Jiang Yan rebuked nameless Nia and his group. Nameless Nia turned around and looked at Jiang Yan without the slightest change in his expression. Rob? I'm moving my brother-in-law's things. What the hell does it have to do with you? That's right. Our captain is Tong Tong's real uncle, and Lord Azura is Tong Tong's real dad, so what if we move some things? Is there something wrong with that, huh? Taoist devotee vehemently nodded in agreement. My lord. Jiang Yin looked at the man next to him. What? Is there a problem, brother-in-law? Nameless Nia asked Si Yihan. Nameless Nia addressing him as brother-in-law caused Si Yihan's eyes to flicker, and the man calmly said, let them move our things. Huh. Jiang Yin was dumbfounded. The items Nameless Nia and his group were moving were goods they were about to trade with several other factions. But his lord was going to let them take them just like this. Great brother-in-law. I'll bring Tang Tang here to play with you for a few days soon. Nameless Nia waved at Si Yihan after getting into his car. Will he really bring young master here? Jiang Yin looked incredibly doubtful. Si Yihan didn't say anything to that, and turned to leave. The Nia family, Yuanwan looked at Tang Tang, her eyes turning before she asked, Tang Tang, do you want to see Daddy? Daddy. Tang Tang thought about it before replying, that's fine. Yuanwan. He really was Si Yihan's real son without a doubt. Then go tell Grandpa and Grandma that you're going to school. You mustn't slip up, alright? Yuanwan carefully instructed. Then I'll bring you to see Daddy, okay? Yuanwan smiled. Okay. Tang Tang nodded. That afternoon, Yuanwan lied and said she was taking Tang Tang to school when in reality, she had Nameless Nia escort Tang Tang to Azura's headquarters. She could use Tang Tang as a breakthrough to Patriarch and Madame Nia. If Tang Tang got along with Si Yihan, she believed her parents couldn't bear to separate Tang Tang from his father. Of course, Patriarch and Madame Nia couldn't make decisions about her life for her, but older people had to be sweet-talked. It shouldn't be too difficult for her family to be whole and harmonious. After Tang Tang agreed, Yuanwan and Tang Tang operated separately. One went to Si Yihan's place while the other stayed at home to appease her parents. At Azura's headquarters, Jiang Yin was squatting in a corner with his weapon tossed to the side. He had maintained this position for a whole day already. Ever since he saw that DNA test result, his life and beliefs collapsed. Lin Ke looked at Jiang Yan's closed-off state with an unsurprised expression. He walked over and sympathetically clapped the other man on the shoulder. Why, little red, what did I say? I reminded you to not offend that girl before. Great. You've completely offended the future Mrs. Azura. If that girl casually whispered something to our lord during pillow talk, what would happen to you? Jiang Yin leaped up instantly. Stop your nonsense. Our lord absolutely isn't that kind of muddle-headed person. Lin Ke raised his brows. Oh, are you certain? Look into my eyes and say it again. Jiang Yan. This insinuating retort instantly turned Jiang Yan into a punctured balloon. I'm not certain. At that moment, a guard came to report that Nameless Nia had arrived again. As soon as Jiang Yan heard that, he was charged again and immediately rushed out. Why are you here again? I've already locked the warehouse with several dozen specially made locks, so don't bother thinking about opening it. Jiang Yan was trembling with anger as he looked at Nameless Nia. He swore to the heavens that he never wanted to see this most money-hungry oddball in the Nia family's history ever again. Are you blind? Nameless Nia gestured to Tang Tang standing next to him with his eyes. Can't you see I'm here to drop Tang Tang off to see my brother-in-law? Young master. Jiang Yan finally saw Tang Tang. He was seized by anger as soon as he saw Nameless Nia, so he didn't notice anything else. It really is young master. Jiang Yan was astonished by this. He never expected this fool to really bring young master here. Jiang Yan didn't think Nameless Nia really meant it when he said it. Only then did Jiang Yan's expression improve. At least Nameless Nia kept his word. Remember to tell my brother-in-law that I spoiled this child too rotten at home. So as the dad he can't indulge him and must beat him when necessary. Nameless Nia added. Tong Tong's icy gaze landed on Nameless Nia. Jiang Yan's lips slightly twitched. Is he a real uncle? Nameless Nia probably didn't send Tang Tang there to allow the father and son to meet. It was to let his lord discipline the young master, right? You're such a chicken. You even locked the warehouse with specially made locks? Tell my brother-in-law that the goods last time were merely my compensation for all these years. They don't count as a betrothal gift. Nameless Nia continued with a purse of his lips. Before Jiang Yin could respond, under Tong Tong's threatening gaze, Nameless Nia chuckled awkwardly and disappeared without a trace. Only Tang Tang and Jiang Yin were left in front of Azura's headquarters as well as some of Azura's guards. Jiang Yin stared at his lord's son, who suddenly popped out of nowhere, and took a deep breath to calm himself down. He then smiled faintly and said, "Young master, his lord is reading over documents right now and hasn't finished his work yet. Are you hungry? How about I take you to grab a bite first, young master?" After his lord is finished working. Although he still couldn't accept the fact that the vixen contaminated his lord, he couldn't help but act reverently toward this miniature version of his lord. "Take me to see my daddy now," Tang Tang expressionlessly ordered. "Jiang Yin, didn't I say my lord is busy right now? Young master, your father, he's..." Tang Tang frowned lightly and interrupted Jiang Yin. "Do I need to repeat myself a second time?" Jiang Yin. Jiang Yin was certain that this young master of the Nia family was absolutely his lord's biological son without a doubt. From his tone of speech to his mannerisms, he was basically a copy of his lord. All right. Helpless to do anything else, Jiang Yin could only guide Tang Tang toward Lord Azura's study. Halfway there, Jiang Yin looked at Tang Tang and suggested, "Young master, this path is difficult to walk on. How about I carry you?" "No need." Tang Tang shook his head. How about I hold your hand?" Jiang Yin offered. Tang Tang glanced at Jiang Yin. Although Tong Tong's face didn't change a smidgen, his black eyes were brimming with unconcealed disdain. Jiang Yin wanted to cry. Did all the children nowadays not require adults to hold their hands? He was actually disdained by his young master. Soon, Jiang Yin arrived in front of Lord Azura's study with Tang Tang and knocked on the door. However, he didn't receive any response. "My lord, young master is here," Jiang Yin explained. A few seconds later, the door to the study was finally opened. The man stood by the door, his eyes landing on Tang Tang. Almost simultaneously, the father and son duo met each other's eyes, but they stayed silent for a long time without speaking. Next to them, Jiang Yin felt a bit awkward. Wasn't this father and son duo's style of interaction a bit strange? "Come in." Si Yihan took Tong Tong's hand and led him inside the study. Jiang Yin followed behind them, wanting to use this opportunity to make some reports. Before he could enter the office though, the door was slammed shut with a bang. Inside the office, Tang Tang sat on the side while Si Yihan continued to read his documents. "Where's your mom?" Si Yihan asked as he read the document in hand without looking away. "At home," Tang Tang replied while looking at Si Yihan. And Si Yihan then proceeded to work. "Are you hungry?" A moment later, Si Yihan spoke again. "I've eaten," Tang Tang responded. After that, the father and son duo entered an odd silence again. When Si Yihan finished going over the documents, it was late at night already. During that period of time, Si Yihan had Jiang Yin send some food to them. "Are you tired?" Si Yihan asked Tang Tang as he set his pen on the desk. "I'm fine," Tang Tang replied. "Time to rest." Si Yihan stood up and took Tong Tong's hand before leading him outside the study. About 15 minutes later, Si Yihan arrived at his bedroom with Tang Tang in tow. "Do you know how to shower by yourself?" Si Yihan questioned. "I do." Tang Tang nodded and turned to enter the bathroom. "Didn't you not know before?" Back in China, it was Wan who helped him shower every time. Tang Tang stoically shook his head. "I know now." Si Yihan didn't say anything and set a new toothbrush and clean towels on the washstand. A moment later, Si Yihan opened the wardrobe. If Yi Wanwan was there, she would definitely be speechless with surprise. Si Yihan's wardrobe was actually comprised of children's clothes entirely and some toys too. Si Yihan quietly took out a pair of pajamas and placed them on the bed before returning to the bathroom. "Come here." Si Yihan stopped by the washstand and called out to Tang Tang. Tang Tang walked toward Si Yihan without any hesitation. Si Yihan pulled out a hairdryer and put it on low mode before starting to blow-dry Tong Tong's hair for him lightly. "Daddy, do you know how to use a hairdryer?" Tang Tang frowned. Why was all the hot air from the hair dryer blowing on his face? First time. Si Yihan was expressionless. Then how do you blow-dry your hair? Tang Tang asked. However, Si Yihan didn't answer this question. After he amateurishly finished blow-drying Tang Tang's hair, he led Tang Tang back to the bedroom. Si Yihan picked up the pajamas he lay on the bed and handed them to Tang Tang. Do you know how to put them on? I don't want them. Tang Tang furrowed his brows as he contemptuously stared at the cute-looking pajamas his dad was holding. Si Yihan glanced at the pajamas in his hand with a frown. He clearly picked them according to this guy's previous preferences. In China, Tang Tang liked it a lot whenever Wanwan picked these pajamas for him. Si Yihan walked to the wardrobe and opened it. Choose, Si Yihan calmly said. Too high. I can't see, Tang Tang replied. Si Yihan stood in his spot silently for a moment before bending down and picking Tang Tang up. Choose, Si Yihan repeated. In the end, Tang Tang chose a pair of rather normal-looking pajamas. At that moment, Si Yihan's phone started ringing. It was Yi Wanwan calling. Hey baby. Yi Wanwan's soft and sweet voice emitted from the other end. Tang Tang sharply caught his mommy's voice from the phone, and his little ears instantly perked up. He was originally sitting far away from Si Yihan, but dashed toward Si Yihan at once. Si Yihan glanced at the little fella and sent his son a look that said, Your mommy's calling me before answering. Hey. The little fella's cheeks puffed up, and he peered at the man with displeasure. Yi Wanwan said, My brother sent Tang Tang to your place, right? I told my parents that I sent Tang Tang to a teacher, so you can spend some time with Tang Tang. Si Yihan sure. Under his son's accusatory gaze, Si Yihan turned on the speakerphone and knelt down too. On the other end of the phone, Yi Wanwan worriedly inquired, How are you two getting along? Si Yihan answered, We're getting along great. No, I'm not good. Daddy's lying, Tang Tang interjected. Tang Tang then proceeded to launch into a series of complaints about how he didn't eat well or dress well, and how his daddy didn't even know how to blow-dry his hair. Si Yihan, Yi Wanwan. The scene turned a bit awkward. Yi Wanwan sounded exasperated. I thought you got some experience caring for a child while we were in China. I originally also thought I had some experience, Si Yihan responded. However, the reality was the complete opposite of his imagination. Just what gave him the misconception that this child was easy to take care of. But when Wanwan was there, Tang Tang was clearly easy to take care of. Si Yihan's fingers tightened around his phone as he listened to Wanwan's voice. He had countless thoughts to say, countless questions to ask, but he couldn't form a single word. Wanwan, Yi Wanwan. What? Si Yihan dazedly stared at the little fella next to him. This child that she birthed for him. Tang Tang is my child. Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes. Try asking me again? Look at your son's face and try to ask me again. Si Yihan stopped speaking after glancing at his son. When he saw Tang Tang that first time, it wasn't that obvious and he merely thought Tang Tang's brows resembled Wanwan. However, a child had a different appearance every day, and Tang Tang did resemble him more and more after such a long time had passed. But how? Si Yihan's voice was hoarse. When did she have Tang Tang? He didn't know anything. At the mention of this, Yi Wanwan felt a bit guilty. In truth, this matter was also her fault since she seemed to have purposely hidden it from him. Calculating from Tang Tang's birthday, Tang Tang was conceived the first time she and Si Yihan got together. Since she was a ball of anxiety and exhaustion from her parents' barrage, she hadn't told Si Yihan that she recovered her memories yet. Of that one time, Yi Wanwan cleared her throat. Yi Wanwan reminded him, that one time you were bribed by me with a bag of popping candy. Tang Tang tilted his head, puzzled. He was conceived from daddy being bribed by mommy with popping candies? The second Yi Wanwan's words hit, those ancient, dusty memories all rushed before his eyes. How did she know? Si Yihan's eyes shot open, and his voice was hoarse and dry. You remembered. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. Aha! Not only do I remember, but I also remember every single detail. I thought everything was my wishful thinking, and you received one-sided dogged harassment from me back then. I thought I brutishly ravaged you. I thought I forcefully debauched you. So I felt pretty bad the whole time. Who knew? It turns out you were a wolf in sheep's clothing and kept playing hard to get, and tricking me in all sorts of ways. Aren't you too crafty? Yi Wanwan couldn't stop her universe from exploding when this was brought up. As Si Yihan listened to the girl running through these memories word by word, he felt like something lost from his heart was slowly returning to his body bit by bit, swelling him up. How could it be forced? From start to end, it was me who methodically tried to keep you, it was me who couldn't live without you. The man's hoarse voice came from the other end and extinguished all of Yi Wanwan's anger instantly, leaving behind a pile of ash. Fuck. That should be illegal. Who allowed you to suddenly start sweet-talking me out of nowhere? I'm telling you, it doesn't work on me. Yi Wanwan grumbled. After you left, I kept waiting for you at home. I was afraid you wouldn't find me when you returned, Si Yihan said. Damn. Illegal. Wanwan, I want to see you. When Yi Wanwan heard his repressed voice, she didn't even have a speck of ash left and flowers started popping and blooming everywhere. Do you think I don't? My dad and mom are both keeping me under tight lock and key right now. I was only able to send Tang Tang over because I spent money to bribe my brother. Si Yihan squeezed his phone, knowing he was too impulsive this time. I will think of a method. In view of his performance in front of her parents last time, Yi Wanwan expressed her doubts. Ugh. At the same time, a swab of dark clouds dispersed, revealing an island located on the northern side of the independent state, seemingly secluded from the rest of the world. It silently towered there like a gigantic, torrential beast that wanted to devour every living being that passed. The gales were the roars of the beast, striking terror in its listeners' hearts. The enormous island stretched as far as the eye could see. There were many intersecting dirt roads, and an enormous prison in the center sealed off by specially made iron fences. No one could enter, no one could leave. Currently, a young man was using a hoe to dig away the dirt on the exterior, as though he wanted to excavate a tunnel out of the prison with the might of one. Ha 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 lad, you haven't been here for too long. When you've been here longer, you'll get used to it. That's right. If we could get out by digging like you, we would have left ages ago. Why would we have waited until now? On the side, a few middle-aged men looked at the young man and spoke up in exasperation. Hearing that, the young man smashed his hoe into the ground with tinges of despair. Lad, what's your name? The leader of the middle-aged men inquired. The young man was silent for a moment before slowly looking up. Wuxia. Wuxia. The men looked at each other. His surname was Si. Don't tell me you're a member of the Si clan? The only people in the independent state with the surname Si originated from the Si clan. Heh, how am I considered a member of the Si clan? Wuxia's lips curled up in a bitter smile. Brother Wuxia, just what happened? How did you get captured here? The lead man asked Wuxia with a furrow of his brows. This place was the land of despair. Everyone thought the martial arts union possessed an underground prison, and the deepest level held the most vicious, evil, and serious criminals. However, this was the true location of the martial arts union's scariest prison. My father's name in the independent state is probably Si Wutian. Wuxia uttered after some time. Si Wutian? Isn't he the egregious traitor from the Si clan? You're his son? The middle-aged men all looked surprised. Si Wutian had some degree of fame in the independent state back then. His fame increased especially after he was expelled from the Si clan. However, in recent years Si Wutian seemed to have left the independent state and vanished without a trace. Originally, I came to the independent state to find my father and followed the clues to the Si clan. However, they claimed I was a son of a sinner, and instructed the martial arts union to lock me into this wretched place. Wuxia's eyes shone coldly. After learning his story, the middle-aged men sighed. If that was the case, it was already an incredible fortune that the Si clan didn't kill Wuxia on the spot. There wasn't much to complain about. Suddenly, a boiling cauldron of voices invaded the island. There was news released that someone saw Ji Shiran, Emperor Ji, on the island earlier. Even Emperor Ji got captured to this deplorable place? How's that possible? I can't believe it. Even a figure like Ji Shiran was. It wasn't only Emperor Ji. There's also the leader of Heavenly Owl, Haiteng 1. Heavenly Owl. The Fearless Alliance's elder brother? Even Haiteng got captured? Both Emperor Ji and Heavenly Owl are the most superior powers in the independent state. How could that be? It appears the independent state will really have a change of weather. In a shabby, dim jail where the smell of mold permeated the air. A man's good-looking face was ghastly pale without a trace of blood. A woman stared at the man, her brows locked together. Masterly, Chiron's body. The leader of Heavenly Owl, Haiteng, looked at the white-haired elderly man who was conducting an examination on the man. There isn't any medical equipment here, so I'm unable to examine him in detail. But my preliminary calculation is that he probably only has a few months at most. Masterly replied with a shake of his head and a sigh. Haiteng stared at Ji Chiron, unable to imagine that this man was about to pass from this world. It's fine. A placid smile spread across the man's pale face. I've gained enough already. Truthfully, you should know, Haiteng, that Emperor Ji's situation is considered a miracle already. Masterly shook his head. Back then, it was me who diagnosed Emperor Ji's terminal illness, and judged that he would only have 2 to 3 years left at most. The fact that Emperor Ji was able to prolong his life until today and survive relied entirely on unimaginable willpower. The price for this willpower was that he had to endure unimaginable pain every single day. Masterly lamented. I didn't expect you to have entered this place with Haiteng, Masterly, Ji Chiron remarked. That day, Masterly was enjoying some tea with me, so he encountered this undeserved calamity. I feel rather apologetic. Haiteng turned to Masterly. What are you saying, Haiteng? Whether I'm captured or not would make no difference to me. How much longer can a bag of old bones like me possibly dwell on this earth? I'll eventually turn into a skeleton, so I don't mind, Masterly responded. Masterly, is Chiron's illness incurable? Haiteng asked with a frown. Masterly was silent for a moment before shaking his head. To Emperor Ji right now, every day might be painful, right? It's bearable. Don't worry, Ji Chiron assured Haiteng with a light chuckle. Emperor Ji, Haiteng, I'm going to go out first to examine the conditions here. After Masterly fixed Ji Chiron's clothing, he stood up and left the jail. The jails here were tantamount to decorations. They weren't locked, and you could enter and leave as you wish, serving as living quarters essentially. It was this entire island that was the true prison. Unimaginable willpower. Is it because of worryless, Chiron? After Masterly left, Haiteng turned to this man, whose perpetual smile still hung on his face. Even though he learned his time on this earth was limited, and he needed to consume a large quantity of medicine every day and suffer from pain unimaginable to normal people, his face still wore that extremely infectious smile. Is it worryless that's allowed you to persevere until today? Is it because you couldn't accept not finding her? Haiteng sighed. Ji Chiron grew silent. Why? A long while later, Haiteng looked at Ji Chiron. You should know worryless better than me, no? And? Ji Chiron asked. Back then, you were diagnosed with a terminal illness by Masterly, so you intentionally distanced yourself from worryless. You loved her so much and considered her your life. Why didn't you tell her the truth? Why did you hurt her so thoroughly and distance her from you? Haiteng said. Worryless? Ji Chiron sank into thought between responding. I merely consider her a younger sister. Younger sister? Haiteng shook her head. Have you started fooling yourself too now? Ji Chiron smiled faintly and fell into silence. You know you wouldn't have much longer to live, so you intentionally alienated her and distanced her from yourself. Do you think I didn't know? You were unwilling to hurt her, so you chose to suffer by yourself. And last time, you clashed with Lord Azura at the Shun estate. The real reason was, your heart ached, right? You nearly lost all rationality. Haiteng finished exasperatedly. Lord Azura, is it? He should be someone worthy of being entrusted with her for the rest of her life. Ji Chiron murmured softly some time later. Was it worth it? Haiteng asked a long while later. What do you think? Ji Chiron narrowed his eyes. Regardless of how untrustable someone else is, he's still not you. Haiteng stared at Ji Xiran, this man who she couldn't understand at all. Pa. Suddenly, Ji Xiran spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Are you okay? Haiteng shot forward to support Ji Xiran. Ji Xiran was silent for a moment before slowly standing up. He shook his head and said, I don't have time. As Master Li said, right now you suffer every day, right? Your strong willpower comes from Worryless. Now that Worryless has returned, your wish is fulfilled, right? You persisted for so long just so you could see Worryless again. An indescribable emotion broiled in Haiteng's eyes. Ji Xiran continued to stay silent. With your body's current condition, you can't attack at all. However, you exchanged blows with Lord Azura last time. You're killing yourself. If it weren't for that time, your body wouldn't have deteriorated this much, Haiteng said. It's all the same. Ji Xiran shook his head. I said I don't have much time left. When they captured me, my illness happened to act up. Coming here, I consider it my last act, for Worryless. The man trudged his way outside the cell, his face ashen. Staring after Ji Xiran's departing figure, Haiteng didn't say a word. Just what did this man want to do? With his crippled body, what could he do currently? Haiteng finally stood up as well and followed Ji Xiran. Elsewhere on the island, in an extremely dilapidated room, Ji Xiran slowly entered the room. Emperor Ji. The dozen or so men and women all stood up upon spotting Ji Xiran. Xiran, how did you get captured here? The leader, an apathetic man, stared at Ji Xiran and asked with a frown. The speaker was one of the 8 gods under Emperor Ji, the first god. No one had ever seen the first god and no one knew that this first god had landed on this island many years ago. Don't ask unnecessary questions. How's the investigation? Ji Xiran asked instead. The martial arts union. They must want to dominate the independent state. A woman answered after a while. Continue, Ji Xiran said. The first god replied. On this island, we discovered the direct line and the martial arts union have joined forces. Emperor Ji, you should also know that the direct line has started retaliating these last few years. They secretly persuaded every patrician family to defect, and everyone who was unwilling to submit and pledge allegiance ended up assassinated later. The woman said with a frown. The martial arts union is behind all of this. Their ambitions will probably send the independent state into unrest. Ji Xiran closed his eyes and considered it for a moment before shaking his head. Not necessarily. It was true that the martial arts union was connected to the direct line, but they might not really be obeying the direct line. Emperor Ji, you mean? The martial arts union, huh? Interesting. Ji Xiran smiled faintly. Perhaps the martial arts union is protecting everyone. The people looked at each other, bewildered. The martial arts union? Protect everyone? Most of the factions on this island oppose the direct line. If the martial arts union was obeying the direct line, what they would have done is kill us, not imprison us, Ji Xiran quietly explained. Ji Xiran's hypothesis exceeded everyone's expectations. However, no one dared to vocalize any doubts. Ji Xiran, the youngest sage in the independent state. This man had never been wrong in any of the life-or-death decisions he made regarding the Ji family or his underground syndicates. Not a single one. Right now, Ji Xiran's breathing was a bit chaotic, and his back was bent. He took this opportunity to sit down on a nearby shabby chair. Actually, I knew beforehand that the martial arts union wanted to act against me. I merely didn't want to resist, Ji Xiran quietly revealed to everyone. On the side, Haiteng furrowed her brows. When Ji Xiran was caught, he happened to be having an episode with his illness, so she originally thought Ji Xiran didn't have the strength to resist. She didn't expect that he had never intended to resist, and was willingly captured to this secluded prison. Ji Xiran's first god was pensive. Back then, Ji Xiran instructed him to infiltrate the direct line. He coincidentally discovered this island during a mission, and reported it to Ji Xiran later. Ji Xiran originally thought this island was related to the direct line, and had him sneak in here, and pretend to be a captured prisoner. Aching. Ji Xiran turned to the man and quietly said, "You've worked hard these years." The man shook his head. Xiran, don't say that. In truth, you've been collecting intelligence about the direct line all these years. The true guardian of the independent state is you. Haiteng scrutinized this scholarly man in front of her. It seemed only the words calm and nonchalant could completely describe him. He has done too many things for the independent state. Did you get any information about the direct line? Ji Xiran inquired. I did. Achin nodded. First of all, Nie Linglong became a member of the direct line long ago. We can't underestimate Nie Linglong's power. She's extremely ambitious and has obtained quite a lot of power in the direct line already. You already know this, Xiran. Ji Xiran nodded. Anything else? There's one more thing. Achin mulled it over for a while before saying, while I was undercover in the direct line, I once saw a mysterious man received by the top higher-ups of the direct line. And this man seemed to be very interested in a pair of rings that signified the paramount power of the Rose of Death. A pair of rings. Ji Xiran turned pensive and vaguely recalled that Worryless once showed him 2 rings. He himself didn't know about the origins of those 2 rings. Furthermore, he remembered Worryless saying that she was hunted by the direct line because of these rings. Sometime later, Emperor Ji narrowed his eyes. Putting together all those pieces of information, he was afraid the 2 rings Worryless had were most likely the symbols of the paramount power of the Rose of Death. It was because of this that the direct line attacked her. Everyone knew that all the factions in the independent state teamed up and eradicated the Rose of Death back then. Other people might not know the truth, but Ji Xiran was well aware. The Rose of Death had been lived through several dozen generations, and its power spanned throughout the world. So how could it be completely destroyed so easily? Back then, the leader of the Rose of Death was killed on the spot, but the majority of the Rose of Death's power was still scattered around the world. Legends said that a Rose of Death liaison existed in the independent state. As soon as the ring that symbolized the paramount power of the Rose of Death appeared, the liaison could contact all the elites scattered around the world to gather together. That was the Supreme Ring, but that ring wasn't found on the corpse of the Rose of Death's leader after they died. Ji Xiran frowned. How did that pair of rings end up in Worryless hands? The only thing he knew was that the previous leader of the Rose of Death was somewhat related to the Nie family. They were distant relatives if he recalled correctly. However, during that battle, the Nie family placed righteousness above family loyalty and participated in the eradication of the Rose of Death's leader. Just what connection is there? What does it all mean? Ji Xiran murmured, his complexion turning paler. Haiteng became anxious. Xiran stopped thinking. Rest a little first. This man's body was starting to fail already. Do you have a pen and paper? Ji Xiran inquired instead. I do, but Xiran, your body. Achin's face brimmed with worry. It's fine. Give me a pen and some paper, Ji Xiran instructed. Achin sighed. He knew that no one could change Ji Xiran's mind after he decided. Achin had no choice but to take out a pen and paper. Mysterious person. Ring. The direct line. What is the relationship between these 3 things? Ji Xiran's pen rapidly raced across the yellowing piece of paper, writing down query after query. Right now, Worryless enemies were the Martial Arts Union and the direct line. Precisely speaking, it was that mysterious man who could freely enter and leave the direct line. The mysterious man was interested in the rings Worryless possessed, which was why she was hunted. Currently speaking, the biggest threat was still that mysterious man. The Martial Arts Union was in the open while that mysterious man was in the shadows. Akin to a poisonous snake, icy and eerie. After writing down connection after connection, Ji Xiran's expression abruptly changed. Some past events surfaced in his mind. Could it be? Ji Xiran frowned, astonishment leaking into his eyes. Haiteng stared at Ji Xiran, about to say something, and realized that Ji Xiran had shredded the densely covered piece of yellow paper. A second later, a rivulet of shocking blood seeped out of the corner of Ji Xiran's mouth. Xiran. Haiteng caught Ji Xiran. This man is using his own life as fuel. Why is he doing this? How can he disregard his own life? Haiteng. Emperor Ji. Masterly burst inside and hastily said. A foolish youth named Si Xia who arrived recently couldn't stand being trapped inside the prison, and actually attempted to escape by swimming. Coincidentally, during his escape, he actually discovered the martial arts union's supply storehouse. There's a large amount of medicine in there. It might be useless. Haiteng's expression was complicated. Xiron's body can't maintain itself any longer, relying solely on drugs, perhaps? You should know better than me, right, Master Li? Everyone's expressions quickly dimmed. Indeed, it was as Haiteng said, Xiron had grown resistant to the drugs. Further, his body was deteriorating too significantly, so even if he didn't have any drug resistance, the side effects of the medicine would be enough to take Xiron's life away. Xiron panted heavily and promptly pulled out the pen and paper again. He wrote a large block of words before folding the paper and tucking it away in his pocket. Thank you for your company these years, everyone. Xiron looked at them, a gentle, soothing smile on his face. On the island, there were special people every day who would ride the ferry several times and prepare food for everyone on the island. In this isolated island prison, Emperor Ji stayed inside the supply storehouse Xia discovered for half a month without taking a single step outside. No one knew what Xiron was doing, and only Haiteng was responsible for delivering food to Xiron every day. These last few days, Achin visited him, asking for an audience, but Xiron wouldn't see anyone. Achin had no choice but to leave with a sigh. On this day, the wind was mild. The sun was shining and the sky was clear of clouds. A strong burst of wind blew past, and it provided an indescribable pleasure. Creak. The door to the storehouse was slowly pushed open. Dressed in a snowy white shirt, Xiron strode out of the storehouse. Xiron, Haiteng, who had been guarding it, hastily walked up when she saw Xiron. A faint smile hung on Xiron's lips. He looked at Haiteng and lightly asked, "The weather is nice. How about we go for a walk?" "Okay." Haiteng nodded and walked next to Xiron. Xiron didn't speak a word the whole time, and Haiteng also didn't know what to say. Sometime later, Xiron pulled out a meticulously wrapped box from his pocket and informed Haiteng to please give this box to worryless Nya in the future. When it was the afternoon, Haiteng turned to Xiron and suggested, "Xiron, it's windy. Let's go back. Can you please let me walk by myself?" Xiron asked her with a light chuckle. Haiteng shook her head without the slightest hesitation. With Xiron's current condition, it'd be better for him to rest more. "You should go back first." Xiron snapped his fingers at Haiteng. Following the snap, Haiteng subconsciously walked back the way they came, as though she was bewitched. She realized she had underestimated him. This man's hypnotism skills. After Haiteng left, Xiron stood by the sea with his hands behind him, his gentle eyes softly looking at the boundless ocean. People believe the ocean is blue, but they don't know the color of the sea is ever-changing, Xiron murmured. Sometimes dark blue, sometimes azure, sometimes light yellow, sometimes mahogany. Isn't that true for life as well? The man stood with his hands behind him, his clothes rustling from the ocean breeze as he stared into the horizon. His figure seemed to be eternally frozen at that moment. A long while later, he sat down on the ground as though he was enjoying this last rare moment of contentedness. An unknown amount of time passed, and the ocean waves gently lapped up the spot where the man sat, but he had disappeared. Looming journey. Where to go? This chapter is scrapped from Riyadh Light Novel. Foreign Pictures. Admire in 3 mysterious mortal hearts, while being your own 1,000 vicissitudes experienced. Regard as nil sun setting west. Dusk here again elegant and graceful. Burden no more unrestorable time. The grave approaching boundless universe. Return to nothing. The second Haiteng returned to the center of the island. She jolted awake and almost instantly went back the way she came, but she couldn't find Xiron's figure anymore. Xiron. The woman clenched her fists, turmoil brimming in her eyes. Xiron. This man amazed her ceaselessly. In her heart, he was unrivaled in the world and untainted by even a speck of dust. However, he remained in the dark and was unable to leave. In his last moments, the man looked like he was removed from the racket of the world, never to have any burdens ever again. Burdens he should have had in the past, burdens he shouldn't have in the present, and burdens he wouldn't have in the future. This man always appeared to be a ball of mystery, never walking out from the fog but never walking into the fog. Half a month passed. At the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan flung the document in her hand aside, a chilly glint surfacing in her eyes. Too much time had passed. Those missing people vanished in thin air and hadn't reappeared. The Fearless Alliance had dispatched its most outstanding scouts to secretly investigate, but didn't have any inklings on what happened despite searching for many days. That afternoon, Yi Wanwan got a call from Si Yihan. Island? What do you mean? Yi Wanwan looked puzzled. Over the phone, Si Yihan told her that Azura discovered an island located in a secluded region of the independent state's territorial waters. An island like this existed everywhere, so Yi Wanwan didn't find anything strange about it. There are people guarding the perimeters of the island, Si Yihan added. Yi Wanwan's brows locked together. If it was merely an island, there was nothing strange about it, but if the island was guarded, then it had to be unusual. Since there are people guarding it. What you're saying is that the people who disappeared from the independent state were all captured and taken to that island? Yi Wanwan hastily asked. Not necessarily, Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan mulled it over in her head for a moment. Si Yihan was right. Some faction might have turned the island into a supply storehouse, or was extracting something from there. No matter what, they had to thoroughly investigate it first since they finally managed to obtain a somewhat valuable clue. Ajia, where is it? Tell me. However, Si Yihan sank into silence. Talk. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. I'll tell you after I look into it, Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan knew Si Yihan was worried about her putting herself in danger. If that island really was a prison, it would definitely be extremely treacherous. However, Yi Wanwan didn't want Si Yihan to shoulder everything by himself, since it was her who wanted to investigate this matter from the start, not Si Yihan. Nonetheless, based on Yi Wanwan's understanding of Si Yihan, she knew he wouldn't say anything more regardless of how she pressed the issue, so she didn't bother wasting her words. How's Tang Tang? Is he doing all right with you? Yi Wanwan asked instead. He misses you, Si Yihan replied. Before Yi Wanwan could respond, he added, Me too. Yi Wanwan. Why the heck do I feel like his EQ skyrocketed? Don't tell me. Tang Tang taught you to say that, right? Yi Wanwan hit the nail on the head. Si Yihan. After a moment of silence, Si Yihan said, I have a meeting. I'll talk to you later. Then Si Yihan hastily hung up. Yi Wanwan put her phone back on the desk and propped her chin on the back of her hand. Could it be he got flustered after being seen through? Father and son seemed to be getting along rather well. Yi Wanwan's worries were completely assuaged. With the father and the son's personalities, Yi Wanwan was afraid they'd only exchange a handful of words after an entire day. How could they cultivate affection without verbal exchanges? At this moment, Yi Wanwan started ringing again. It was a video call from Tang Tang. Yi Wanwan accepted the call immediately. Tang Tang was sitting in the living room in his pajamas, and the kitchen was located behind him. And there was a man bustling about in the kitchen. Yi Wanwan was astonished. Si Yihan's cooking himself. I didn't see it wrong, right? How come I can't link Si Yihan and cooking together no matter what? Yi Wanwan subconsciously rubbed her eyes and realized she was seeing it correctly indeed. Wait, didn't Si Yihan just tell me he had a meeting to attend? This was the meeting. Mommy, Tang Tang's eyes sparkled when he saw Yi Wanwan. Tang Tang, are you doing all right at Daddy's? Yi Wanwan grinned at her son. Tang Tang shook his head though. Hungry. Hungry. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. Isn't his real dad cooking right now? Daddy's cooking is bad. Tang Tang seemed to have caught Yi Wanwan's thoughts. Yi Wanwan. Good Tang Tang. Call your daddy over, Yi Wanwan said. Daddy, Tang Tang called. Almost done, Si Yihan calmly replied. Mommy's calling you, Tang Tang responded. Si Yihan was startled briefly and automatically turned to look at Tang Tang's phone. Si Yihan. Your meeting finished so quickly? Yi Wanwan snickered as she surveyed Si Yihan, who was wearing an apron and had a spatula in his hand. His outfit looked out of sorts no matter how she looked at it, and was almost comical upon a closer look. Mommy, Daddy doesn't have a meeting today, Tang Tang casually interjected. Oh, Yi Wanwan looked pensive. See Yihan. Tang Tang, be good with Daddy. Mommy will come pick you up in a few days, okay? Yi Wanwan shifted her gaze away from Si Yihan and settled on Tang Tang. Tang Tang nodded. Mommy, I'm going to eat now. The video call ended. When Yi Wanwan's face disappeared from the screen, Si Yihan stared at Tang Tang, and Tang Tang also stared at Si Yihan, adult and child gazing at each other speechlessly. At the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan's lips turned up. Tang Tang truly was her real son. He sold his real dad out without any hesitation. She could imagine the indescribable emotions simmering inside Si Yihan right now. However, he sired the child, so he had to look after Tang Tang even if he was on his knees. Sis Feng, you were looking for me? A moment later, Big Dipper's gargantuan head slipped through the narrow slit of the doors, looking at Yi Wanwan. Aren't you afraid of your head getting clipped by the doors? Enter. Yi Wanwan frowned. Okay. Big Dipper pushed open the office doors and sprinted to her desk. I want to ask you, how's the investigation gone these past few days? Yi Wanwan asked seriously. Sis Feng, truthfully, it's really not my fault. Aren't First Elder and 7 Star also unsuccessful? I think that more haste would lead to less speed. We've got to slowly search for the people just like how we have to drink water slowly. Big Dipper guiltily replied. Do you believe that I'll soak your head into water? Yi Wanwan retorted. Don't, Sis Feng. I'll look immediately. I will keep searching nonstop, and I'll find them even if I have to turn the independent state upside down. Yi Wanwan sighed helplessly. Azura had gone to the sea, and they were still searching in the independent state. They wouldn't find Emperor Ji even if they searched for 100 years. Go to the sea. Search the nearby islands, Yi Wanwan ordered. Big Dipper was startled at first before promptly slapping his thigh. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? There are a lot of islands nearby, so maybe those missing people got imprisoned on an island. Big Dipper gave Yi Wanwan a thumbs up. Sis Feng, you're truly unparalleled in both history and the future. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Profound and immeasurable. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. What the heck is profound and immeasurable? Isn't the saying profound and enigmatic? Big Dipper gazed at Yi Wanwan with overflowing admiration. However, this admiration was too excessive and obviously contained some bootlicking. Sis Feng, aside from our Fearless Alliance, I discovered that people from Azura also seem to be investigating this matter. Big Dipper reported to Yi Wanwan a moment later. Got it. Yi Wanwan nodded. Azura had discovered the location of the island already, and he just realized people from Azura were investigating this matter. Sis Feng, actually, I have a better idea. Big Dipper mysteriously said. Actually, Sis Feng, we can send some people to follow Azura. This way, wouldn't we save our concern, time and energy? Yi Wanwan turned pensive herself when she heard that. Big Dipper's suggestion was actually quite good. Si Yihan was afraid of endangering her, so he wasn't willing to inform her of the location of the guarded island. But if the Fearless Alliance sent someone to secretly follow Azura's investigation team, wouldn't the location of the island be revealed? Of course, even if they wanted to follow Azura, it wouldn't be so easy. If Yi Wanwan had Big Dipper follow them, she could swear that this idiot would get caught on the spot by Azura's investigation squad. Sis Feng, have 800% confidence in me and leave this matter to me. There absolutely won't be any problems. I'll have our men take the water route and investigate the nearby islands while I, the youngest super right-hand man of the Fearless Alliance, will take on the burden of personally following Azura's investigation team. That way, it doesn't matter which side gets the information first. We'll win no matter what. It's perfect. Big Dipper looked incredibly excited. Sis Feng, I'm a genius, right? Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan felt her head pounding and massaged her temples before looking at Big Dipper again. No need. You better personally investigate the nearby islands instead. Huh? Why? Big Dipper was flabbergasted. Tailing someone. It's my specialty. Why? Yi Wanwan glanced at Big Dipper. I'm afraid I will need to go to Azura and pay a ransom for you later. Big Dipper. Despite Big Dipper's intense request, Yuanwan continued to reject him multiple times without any hesitation. In the end, Big Dipper could only downheartedly lead people to inspect the waters. As for tracking Azura's investigation squad, Yuanwan handed the responsibility to First Elder and 7-Star. In the Fearless Alliance, First Elder was knowledgeable and multi-talented while 7-Star was steady and reserved. These two people working together made Yuanwan feel rather at ease. No major problems would likely occur. Yuanwan used these few days to make a trip back to the Nia residence. Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia kept asking for news about Tangtang, and Yuanwan could only carefully fend them off and tell her parents Tangtang was still going to school and had a lot of school assignments recently. Thankfully, her parents didn't press too hard and didn't seem to be suspicious. 2 days later, Nia Linglong returned to the Nia residence though and apologized to Yuanwan with great sincerity in front of Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia. Sister, I'm sorry. If I wasn't deceived by that impostor, you wouldn't need to have suffered so many grievances. It's all my fault for making you suffer, sister. Nia Linglong stood in the living room, looking at Yuanwan with an anxious expression. Yuanwan smiled faintly. What are you saying? You are also tricked. After all, you aren't intelligent to the point of seeing through an impostor with a single look, right? Nia Linglong's eyes were brimming with apathy when she heard that, but she replied, You're right, sister. Yuanwan's lips turned up, humor brimming in her eyes. Yuanwan had no idea what Nia Linglong's objectives were, but no matter what, since this woman wanted to play, she would play with her to the end. Now Nia Linglong and that impostor didn't have a dominant foothold in the Nia family anymore, and Yuanwan had the complete upper hand. However, she currently didn't need to launch a ferocious attack on Nia Linglong yet. Yuanwan merely wanted to see what objectives Nia Linglong had, and what she wanted to do by staying undercover in the Nia family. Linglong, you should indeed apologize to your sister Worryless, Madame Nia said to Nia Linglong. Yes, Mom, I know that if it wasn't for me, sister wouldn't have suffered so many grievances. Nia Linglong sighed helplessly. We can only blame that impostor for having such good acting skills and preparing thoroughly before pretending to be sister. So it was very hard for me to see through her. Upon hearing this, Patriarch and Madame Nia directed a few glances toward Nia Linglong. In truth, they couldn't blame Nia Linglong completely. They were Worryless parents, but didn't they also not discover that impostor's identity? Linglong, did you really mistake Worryless? Patriarch Nia meaningfully looked at Nia Linglong. Nia Linglong nodded with great certainty and replied, Dad, that impostor truly concealed herself too well. Moreover, didn't Dad and Mom also not realize the truth? Patriarch Nia and Madame Nia met each other's eyes. This truly rendered them speechless. Dad, Mom. Yuanwan looked at her parents and faintly smiled. Sister Linglong was also deceived. No matter what, she merely wanted to find me as soon as possible. Patriarch Nia and Madame Nia glanced at Yuanwan, but didn't say anything else. The matter regarding Nia Linglong mistaking Worryless Nia still required a thorough investigation. Sister, I'm very sorry, Nia Linglong said to Yuanwan. Nonsense, there's nothing to apologize between us sisters, Yuanwan replied with a light chuckle. After leaving the Nia residence, Yuanwan returned to the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. You were looking for me, President? Third Elder asked Yuanwan as he entered the office. Yuanwan looked at Third Elder and said, I need you to go and stalk a person. Pray tell, President. Third Elder eagerly nodded. Nia Linglong. The corners of Yuanwan's lips turned up. Nia Linglong. Third Elder's expression turned a little strange. President, isn't Nia Linglong your younger sister? Why are we stalking her? Who didn't know about Worryless Nia and Nia Linglong's relationship? Furthermore, they now knew that their president's true identity was Worryless Nia of the Nia family, and was Nia Linglong's sister. Don't ask about this point. Just remember that from today onward, every place that Nia Linglong visits, every person that she sees, you have to remember them all with no oversights. Yuanwan instructed seriously. Don't worry, President. Leave this matter to me. I'll track her perfectly, Third Elder agreed with a nod. Third Elder was about to leave when Yi Wanwan stopped him. Nia Linglong probably isn't as simple as she appears, so you also have to be extremely careful. You mustn't get discovered by her. There's one thing you must remember though. If Nia Linglong discovers you, forget about everything. Fleeing is the best strategy. Yi Wanwan specifically warned. Based on Yi Wanwan's observations, Nia Linglong absolutely wasn't as simple as she appeared. If she wanted to topple the Nia family using a mere imposter, that was an utter fantasy story. Unless A. Nia Linglong was overly powerful herself. B. Nia Linglong had a supporter behind her. C. This was the undesirable outcome to Yi Wanwan. Nia Linglong was overly powerful herself, and she had a supporter behind her. What are you worried about, President? Third Elder expressed his incomprehension toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan stayed silent. Perhaps she was overthinking, but she had a nagging feeling that this investigation and tracking of Nia Linglong wasn't a simple mission, and might even prove treacherous. Her earlier words were uttered in hopes that Third Elder would treat this mission very cautiously, and wouldn't lower his guard in the slightest. Anyway, remember these following words. As soon as there's anything that can threaten your life, abandon this mission immediately, Yi Wanwan ordered solemnly. Third Elder smiled. His president was probably underestimating him. He was merely stalking a woman, so how could his life possibly be threatened? Don't worry, President. This subordinate will definitely operate carefully and absolutely won't slip up. After saying that, Third Elder left the office without looking back. As soon as Third Elder left, Nameless Nia entered her office with a devil-may-care attitude. My dear sister, what are you doing? Nameless Nia sat down on the sofa flippantly and picked up an apple from the fruit tray. Yi Wanwan immediately glanced at him. Him coming to the Fearless Alliance definitely didn't represent anything good. Perfect, I still need to settle an account with you, yet you came running to me yourself, Yi Wanwan grumpily said. Yesterday you came to the Fearless Alliance and used my name to force the Fearless Alliance to hire your squad. What are you doing, huh? Does my Fearless Alliance lack manpower? Sister, what are you saying? The mission that the Fearless Alliance needed to do yesterday was so dangerous. The Fearless Alliance is yours, sister, and I'm your real brother, so of course I need to look after you well. I'm telling you, the squad the Fearless Alliance hired is my best team. Nameless Nia hastily said. Yi Wanwan, freaking they're good, but the main point is their hiring fee is also high. The Fearless Alliance hasn't worked in their old profession for a while now, so their finances were quite tight right now. Did you come here because Dad and Mom wanted me to go back? Yi Wanwan asked curiously. Nameless Nia shook his head and replied, Sister, haven't you been searching for those missing people lately? Since the Fearless Alliance hasn't found any leads despite searching for so long. How about you hire my squad? I can swear to the heavens that my squad is absolutely handy. Yi Wanwan nearly spat blood onto his face. Is this idiot seriously that poor? She previously heard that Nameless Nia led spray of flowers and Taoist devotee to Azura, and hustled a large sum from them. Yi Wanwan was about to refuse him when her eyes turned, and a smile spread across her face. Don't worry about the search for the missing people, brother. However, I do have something here for you. Nameless Nia finished eating the rest of his apple with one bite and hastily said, Look, what did I say? What problem do you have, sister? You have to tell me your brother. I'm your real brother. Which real brother wouldn't love his younger sister? Hurry and tell me. What is it? I have lots of people. Yi Wanwan, you freaking. You just want to earn money. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up into an inscrutable smile. In truth, it's very simple. I want to stalk someone. Can your people do it? It might be somewhat dangerous. Damn. Stalking. That's our specialty. Regardless of whether the one you want to follow is human, ghost, or demon, we can do it all. Nameless Nia nodded and instantly sat up straight, looking rather like a boss. I don't need you to stalk demons and ghosts. Help me stalk Nia Linglong. A chilly glint flashed through Yi Wanwan's eyes. Sure. Anyone you want. Don't worry. Nameless Nia vehemently nodded. Suddenly, Nameless Nia froze and became dumbfounded. Follow Nia Linglong? That's right. Yuanwan nodded. Say worryless, are you alright? Why do you want to stalk Nia Linglong? Nameless Nia was bewildered. Brother, I actually wanted to tell you this a long time ago. Yuanwan looked at Nameless Nia. That imposter was actually hired by Nia Linglong. Nameless Nia was startled and became incredulous. The imposter was hired by Nia Linglong? Damn. Are you serious, sister? It was you who adamantly brought Nia Linglong into the Nia family all those years ago, but now she wants to turn around and hurt you? Yuanwan furrowed her brows. In truth, she also didn't know what insanity struck her back then, or why she bring Nia Linglong back to the Nia family. Was it simply because she felt sorry for Nia Linglong? However, Yuanwan hadn't recovered this portion of her memories yet. Do you believe in me or Nia Linglong? Yuanwan intently stared at Nameless Nia. Nonsense. Nameless Nia shot up suddenly. You're my real sister. Nia Linglong is nothing. Yuanwan snapped her fingers. Exactly. Fucking. I knew it. I knew that Nia Linglong wasn't anything good. That backstabber. She actually found an imposter to impersonate you and pretended to be so innocent. Even I got deceived by her. I'm so angry. Nameless Nia was incensed. Nope, I can't. I can't take this outrage lying down. Yuanwan felt her head swelling when she saw Nameless Nia about to leave. This was why she wasn't willing to tell Nameless Nia before this. She was afraid of Nameless Nia's explosive temper. Stop right there. Yuanwan immediately sprinted forward and blocked his path. Nameless Nia asked, Worryless, why are you stopping me? Since when did you turn into a living Buddha? Huh? Nia Linglong is stomping on your head and shit. Before Nameless Nia could finish uttering the last syllable, Yuanwan glared at him and he broke it off. She was a stray adopted by you into the Nia family. It's fine if she doesn't act grateful, but she's treating you like this, yet you're still tolerating it? Are you a living Buddha? Should I kneel before you and burn some joss sticks for you? Nameless Nia angrily shouted at her. Yuanwan looked at this aggravated Nameless Nia standing before her, and inexplicably felt like this real brother of hers was rather protective actually. Boss Nia, go on. Go kill her. It appears you aren't too interested in this business deal. Yuanwan lamented with a sigh. Nameless Nia, go on. Yuanwan glanced at Nameless Nia, who was rooted to his spot. Forget it. I'll listen to you. Let's talk business first. Nameless Nia seriously sat back down on the sofa. I want your best scouts to help me monitor Nia Linglong's every move, and you can't allow her to discover you. Yuanwan said grimly. For some reason, Yuanwan felt her mind ill at ease regarding Third Elder. Although it was just a feeling, Yuanwan didn't dare to take a gamble. She felt like Third Elder might die while investigating Nia Linglong. Although Third Elder obeyed Yuanwan's every word, his bad habits were difficult to correct. He was overly arrogant. Third Elder would definitely look down on Nia Linglong, and that might turn out to be a ruinous mistake for him. In truth, Third Elder wasn't the only one. Who in the Fearless Alliance wasn't arrogant and conceited? Nameless Nia's people were different though. Yuanwan had interacted with Nameless Nia's mercenary teams before. They were true teams with a distinctive division of tasks. Although each squad didn't have a lot of members, each member was the creme de la creme, and formed a terrifying formidable team together. As long as you paid them adequately, they would provide you with an unprecedented feeling of safety. On the other hand, if you didn't pay them enough, the results were unpredictable. Don't worry, sister. However, sister, I have a lot of mercenary teams under me, and each has a different price. What price range do you want? Nameless Nia asked inquisitively. This amount. Yuanwan extended one finger. 100. Nameless Nia was dumbfounded. 100. It's not even enough for a meal. Yuanwan shook her head. 1,000? 1,000 also isn't enough. Yuanwan narrowed her eyes. Keep guessing. 10,000? Fine, that's barely enough. Nameless Nia nodded. I will give you 110,000, Yuanwan said. 10 million. Nameless Nia's eyes bulged out. 110,000s are 10 million? 1 million. Yuan snapped, irritated. Nameless Nia swore a blood oath back, then that he would bring work to the independent state's mercenaries and get the lowest price to perform the best missions. Giving him 1 million was already an enormous sum. Yet he actually wanted 10 million? Why didn't he go rob someone? Read more chapter on our VIP novel. Com 1 mission? Sure, that works too. Nameless Nia nodded frantically. Don't worry, sister. I'll give you the best team I have. Don't look at me. This money doesn't end up in my pocket. It's all theirs. I only get 15% of it. Brother, tell your people to be more careful. Also, watch over our third elder from the Fearless Alliance, and don't let him get into any danger. I have a feeling that Nia Linglong isn't that simple. Yuan furrowed her brows. Sister, don't worry, I know what to do. Your brother isn't good at other things, but I'm a genius in this area. After saying that, Nameless Nia immediately called his team. Hey, I accepted a big job. You're going to have to treat me. I'll tell you the details when I get there. Yuan sighed exasperatedly as she watched Nameless Nia leave. Are they at all concerned about Nia Linglong? In truth, hiring Nameless Nia's team this time was a form of double insurance. This 1 million was spent too well. If Third Elder didn't discover anything, she still had Nameless Nia's team. If Third Elder was in any peril, Nameless Nia's team could act rapidly. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After dealing with this problem, Yuan rested for a few moments inside her office. Now that she had recovered her identity as Worryless Nia, it was time to go to Scarlet Flame's academy to put her cards on the table. Back then, she was the super prodigy of Scarlet Flame's academy and was also their legendary demon instructor, so she had to have possessed a lot of honor points. She needed to use Worryless Nia's identity to check how many honor points she had and then ask the headmaster to hypnotize her again. Actually, Yuan was very curious why she brought Nia Linglong back to the Nia family. Moreover, it was time to recover the bits and pieces of memory related to Nia Linglong. Late at night, in a secluded spot in the back of the independent state, an elderly man was dressed in black and rapidly dashed through the night, as though he was a phantom sliding into the ground. Soon the elderly man's figure paused, and he examined the woman in the distance. Third Elder's face was icy as he stared at Nia Linglong. He found it really strange why the president made him follow a woman like this and even said, this woman might threaten his safety. An absolutely unrealistic, fantasy story. Follow her further but maintain your distance. Don't let the target discover you. Third Elder quietly said into his walkie-talkie. Third Elder, this woman has left the independent state's boundaries. Should we keep following her? A voice was soon emitted from the walkie-talkie. Third Elder was silent for a moment before calmly asking, did the target discover you? Absolutely not. Good. Then keep following her, Third Elder coldly commanded. However, Third Elder, the area ahead is outside the limits of the independent state. If any incidents occur, our people won't arrive in time. Should we inform the president first and ask for her opinion? Are you joking? Third Elder aloofly rebuked. Do we need to disturb the president's dreams with such a minor matter? All right, we'll listen to Third Elder. The people in hiding instantly disappeared and Third Elder also swiftly followed. About half an hour passed. You're here. A man wearing a veil arrived. Sir, the Nia family might be uncontrollable now. Thankfully, the imposter was killed by that idiot, Nameless Nia, or else I might have also been exposed. However, even so, Patriarch and Madame Nia are also suspecting me now, so they might raise cautions against me at any time. Nia Linglong reported to the mysterious man. Heh. The veiled man chuckled lightly. It's fine if things with the Nia family fails. It's not an issue. Right now, Worryless Nia is back with the Nia family, and there's a pair of rings in her possession. Your current mission is to retrieve those rings. Okay, I understand. Nia Linglong nodded. All right. Nameless Nia is a bit annoying. Sir, if we eliminate Nameless Nia, the Nia family will become nothing. And we can easily capture the Nia family, Nia Linglong added. The mysterious veiled man fell into silence before responding. All right. If there's an opportunity, eliminate nameless Nia. But remember, you don't need to directly attack him. There are many methods to kill people like him. Understood. Nia Linglong replied and turned to leave. Hold on. The mysterious man called. Sir. Nia Linglong looked at him. Linglong, did you not realize you were followed for so long? The mysterious man asked. Nia Linglong's lips turned up. I discovered ages ago, but they're just flies. I originally planned to take care of them after seeing you, sir. Be more prudent. After saying that, the mysterious man turned and swiftly disappeared into the pitch-dark night. Only Nia Linglong remained. Nia Linglong expressionlessly inspected her surroundings. What? Worryless Nia sent you here to die? A cold glint flashed through someone's eyes. This woman actually discovered them a long time ago and confronted them without any fear. How confident. Third Elder, we're exposed. What should we do? Third Elder deliberated for a moment before coldly saying, I'll meet her. Third Elder walked out from his hiding spot. Ha, I was wondering who it was. So it's an elder from the Fearless Alliance. Nia Linglong stared at Third Elder, her lips curling up with an inexplicable smile. Little girl, our president brought you back to the Nia family when you were young, and the Nia family raised you to adulthood, but you're ungratefully repaying their kindness by stabbing them in the back. Not only do you want to kill nameless Nia, but you also want to overthrow the entire Nia family. How marble-hearted you are. Third Elder coldly said to Nia Linglong. Marble-hearted. Nia Linglong glanced at Third Elder and snorted. I don't think so. I heard that you killed even your own son, so if we put it like that, aren't you more marble-hearted than me? Third Elder harumphed. Back then, the president wasn't here. So what if I sacrificed a distant son for power and prestige? However, I wouldn't treat anyone I was indebted to like you did. I can tell that everyone from the Fearless Alliance likes to quibble and make excuses. Nia Linglong retorted. Enough nonsense. Will you come with me to see the president of your own will? Or do I need to break your limbs and tie you up to bring back to the president? Third Elder shouted aggressively. Nia Linglong stared at Third Elder with a sneer. If it was one Xiren from your Fearless Alliance, perhaps he would be semi-qualified to play with me. But you old and feeble weaklings. You're dead. Upon hearing Nia Linglong calling him an old and feeble weakling, Third Elder's eyes shone coldly, and he turned into a black shadow, charging toward Nia Linglong. Forget about you. Even if worryless Nia and her peak came here personally and you two teamed up, so what? As Nia Linglong spoke, a loud bang was heard as she fiercely slammed into Third Elder. That noise resounded in the spectators' ears like a clap of thunder in the summer sky. The hidden scouts from the Fearless Alliance felt their foreheads soaked with sweat as they watched the intense fight between Third Elder and Nia Linglong underneath them. They couldn't intercede in this level of fighting. If they tried to help right now, it would be the same as hampering Third Elder. Hurry and call for support, a scout said. This is outside the independent state's boundaries. Where can we call for help? This location wasn't considered inside the boundaries of the independent state's territory. So whether they could get into contact with people from the Fearless Alliance or not was one thing. Even if they did, it would be daytime by the time their backup arrived. Damn, Third Elder probably isn't a match for that woman. The scouts couldn't help but frown as they watched the fight below. Right now, Third Elder's breathing had turned rapid already. Nia Linglong was too nimble, and her figure was difficult to distinguish. He seemed to have seen similar techniques a long time ago. You're a member of the Direct Line? Third Elder demanded coldly. Most of the Direct Line's body techniques looked like this. Is there any point for a person about to die to know who I am? Nia Linglong loosely grasped the bloody dagger as she stood in her spot. The Nia family. You're the daughter of the Direct Line's fifth elder. Third Elder suddenly recalled something. Back then, the Direct Line's fifth elder died in the great battle between the Direct Line and the Collateral Branch, and his daughter was stranded in the independent state. Could it be the president thought Nia Linglong to be pitiful, and brought her back to the Nia family to be raised? What in the world was the president thinking? Didn't she know Nie Linglong was the daughter of the direct line's fifth elder? Nie Linglong snorted but didn't say anything. The dagger in her hand glinted eerily, and her speed turned extremely fast. It was incredibly difficult to see her clearly with the human eye, especially on such a pitch-black night. Third Elder lifted his arms like he was facing a powerful enemy when Nie Linglong reached him. The sound of the dagger ruthlessly piercing into Third Elder's arm was heard, and fresh blood splashed everywhere. Bang! Third Elder reacted extremely fast and he angrily roared as he mercilessly struck Nie Linglong's abdomen, ignoring the ripping agony in his arm. A second later, Nie Linglong retreated several steps back. You're truly a loyal and devoted dog. Nie Linglong surveyed Third Elder in good spirits, whose body had been nearly dyed completely red from his blood. A bunch of hogwash. Come here and die. Third Elder yelled. You won't be so lucky this time. Nie Linglong raised her dagger again, and there was a chilly glint reflecting off of it akin to a bloodthirsty demon. Swish! The cold glint flickered, dashing through the air extremely fast. Third Elder didn't even have time to react to Nie Linglong's speed. By the time he could react, he could feel an iciness about to pervade his chest. In a fraction of a second, a stone shot out from the dark and precisely hit the dagger in Nie Linglong's hand. Ooh! Nie Linglong shouted coldly. Managing to narrowly escape death, Third Elder took a deep breath and also scrutinized his surroundings. Oh dear, have I disturbed you? An extremely thin but good-looking man slowly walked out from the dark. A man and woman followed after him. The large character, higher, was printed on these three people's clothes. Nameless Nie's people. Nie Linglong's eyes narrowed pensively when she saw this trio. It appeared she was completely exposed. Fearless Alliance, tell your president to quickly wire the payment to our captain's account as soon as possible. We're at the point of having nothing in the pot from how poor we've been lately. The thin man yawned before speaking to Third Elder. Third Elder was confused. He had no idea what this person was saying. Wire the money to their captain's account? What did that mean? Nie Linglong, will you keep fighting with this old man from the Fearless Alliance? The thin man's gaze settled on Nie Linglong. Little captain, she definitely won't have the guts to attack now that she's seen us. The pretty girl laughed cheerily. All right, Aya, have some fun with her, the thin man said. Okay. The girl called Aya pulled out a dagger from her clothes too and skipped toward Nie Linglong. Immediately, the two daggers clashed and sparks flew. Several exchanges later, Aya was kicked back from Nie Linglong. Little captain, I can't beat her. Let's attack with the three of us and gang up on her. Aya looked infuriated. The thin man rubbed his chin. Two grown men attacking a girl together with you. And that's a nice idea. I accept it. The trio instantly charged toward Nie Linglong. Bring me too. The four of us can gang up on her. Third Elder yelled and also joined the fighting team. Nie Linglong was expressionless as she fended off the four attackers. This girl is pretty strong. Ahu, pummel her to death. The thin man took several steps back and ordered the sturdily built man next to him. Okay, little captain. The man shouted and both his fists ruthlessly slammed toward Nie Linglong. Nie Linglong swiftly retreated back. Kaboom! A loud noise was heard as the strong man bashed the air, and actually pummeled two deep holes in the ground with his fists. Third Elder was rendered speechless. What weird strength was this? If he was punched by this man. Right. Pummel her. Pummel that little bitch to death. Ahu, give it your best. If you perform well, perhaps the Fearless Alliance will be willing to pay us more. The thin man hastily said. If I pummel her to death. The strong man nodded and turned to Third Elder. Will you give a raise? Third Elder nodded immediately. We will. I'll privately sponsor you guys with 1 million. The trio's eyes shone when they heard that. Don't go back on your word or else I'll pummel you to death. Ahu shouted coldly before attacking Nie Linglong again. You overestimate yourself. Nie Linglong's eyes were brimming with contempt. A flick of her dagger and it instantly pierced Ahu's wrist, blood gushing out. However, that robust man acted like he didn't feel any pain, and his movements weren't hindered in the slightest. Sensing the threat of the man's odd strength, Nie Linglong rapidly sprang backward, shooting off with the tip of her toes. Ah, you didn't hit her. The thin man looked regretful as he rubbed his chin. Humph, big idiot. Ahu's nickname is Pitbull. He doesn't feel any pain. Ahu stuck her tongue out at Nia Linglong. Stop wasting your words with her. Let's capture her alive. Third elder yelled between his panting. Say, boss, it's fine if we killed this woman, but capturing her alive won't do. We don't leave any survivors behind when we attack. The thin man shook his head. A motley crew. Nia Linglong snorted and promptly leaped into the distance. Follow her. Third elder hastily yelled when he saw Nia Linglong leaving, and made to chase after her. Hold on, hold on. The thin man instantly blocked third elder's path. What? Third elder was baffled. Say, boss, don't you have any idea? The thin man scratched his smooth chin. What do you mean? Third elder asked. What else could I mean? We can't beat her. The thin man responded lightheartedly. Third elder. That woman is too fast and nimble, but her attacks are vicious and fierce. She's a difficult opponent. Even if we did have a fighting chance, we'd have to pay a bitter price. 2 million isn't worth it, nope. The thin man shook his head. That's right, it's not worth it. And we've finished our mission already. Aya vehemently nodded. Thank you, third elder said while cupping his fists. If it weren't for these 3 people, his ship would have probably capsized and sunk today. It was our job, so no need to thank us. Thank your president if you must. After saying that, the thin man led Ahu and Aya back into the night. Oh right. Remember to wire your 1 million into our captain's bank account or else we'll pummel you to death. The thin man yelled without looking back, and the trio quickly disappeared into the night. At the Fearless Alliance headquarters, Yi Wanwan's lips twitched as she looked at third elder and his bandaged arm. The scouts had fully reported the situation to her already. What did she tell third elder? Leave if he was discovered. This old guy was great. He directly went up and started fighting with Nia Linglong. Thankfully, she had the foresight and a nagging feeling that Nia Linglong wasn't a simpleton, so she hired a squad under nameless Nia with 1 million. Otherwise, third elder would have perished in Nia Linglong's hands this time. President, this was a miscalculation on my part this time. Next time, I'll definitely teach her a lesson she'll never forget. Third elder fumed with rage between gritted teeth. Yi Wanwan originally intended to scold third elder, but decided otherwise after some thinking. Yi Wanwan sighed. Right now, their position was too passive and there were too many traps and murky situations they couldn't ward off. It was like there was a pair of giant hands around them. They had to find a way to escape this situation. Any successes? Yi Wanwan asked, looking at third elder again. Third elder nodded. President, we followed Nia Linglong to the territory outside of the independent state, where she met up with a man. Nia Linglong said that the Nia family was starting to suspect her, and it wasn't possible for her to overturn the Nia family now. However, that man ordered Nia Linglong to figure out a way to steal a pair of rings from you. Yi Wanwan turned pensive. The mysterious man wanted to steal her rings. Yi Wanwan currently didn't know about the origin of the rings, but she was certain they were out of the ordinary. The experts she previously encountered in China, who tried to steal her ring, were probably ordered by this mysterious man third elder was referring to. A mysterious man. Third elder, are you certain it was a man? Yi Wanwan inquired. Third elder was startled briefly before promptly nodding. I'm certain. Then did you see that mysterious man's appearance clearly? Third elder recalled the scene for a moment before shaking his head. President, the man Nia Linglong met concealed his face and it was late at night, so we couldn't see his face or figure clearly at all. Since their face was concealed and you didn't clearly see their appearance or figure, how are you certain it was a man? Yi Wanwan asked, hitting the nail on the head. Third elder was dumbstruck. But it was a man's voice, President. And got it. Go back and rest. Yi Wanwan waved her hand at third elder. All right, then I'll be taking my leave now. Third elder nodded and left the office. After he left, Yi Wanwan fell into contemplation. It was conventional thinking that made third elder think he saw a man, but whether the mysterious person was a man or a woman required further observation. As for Nie Linglong, she was completely exposed now, so she probably wouldn't return to the Nie residence for the foreseeable future. Right now, what was most important was for her to return to the Scarlet Flames Academy and get the headmaster to help her regain her memories. She couldn't remember the bits and pieces that belonged to worryless Nie and a lot of other matters. If she knew everything, perhaps the current situation would be different. That night, Yuanwan used worryless Nie's identity to call Elder Gong, who was far away at Scarlet Flames Academy. On the phone, Elder Gong sounded indescribably excited. The news that the president of the Fearless Alliance was worryless Nie had spread to every corner of the independent state, and everyone knew about it. Yi Wanwan agreed with Elder Gong that she would return to Scarlet Flames Academy tomorrow. The next day, Yi Wanwan made 7-star drive her to Scarlet Flames Academy. The entrance of Scarlet Flames Academy was packed with people. News about President Fearless, aka the once demon instructor of Scarlet Flames Academy, worryless Nie, had raged across the academy like wildfire overnight. In front of the gates, Elder Gong looked incredibly emotional as he stared at Yi Wanwan. Damn, that's senior sister worryless? These looks, TSK, I really couldn't tell. She could clearly rely on her face to make a living, but she just relied on her real strength. What the hell do you know? Back then, Senior Sister Worryless was our Scarlet Flames demon instructor, and taught many outstanding top-notch mercenaries. I really didn't expect that woman from the Nie family to have been an imposter. No wonder the previous worryless Nie from the Nie family never returned to Scarlet Flames Academy. Yi Wanwan presented herself to the people with her real appearance, and didn't put on any makeup. No one could have imagined that the worryless Nie standing in front of them was that incredibly ugly Yi Wanwan. Worryless. Elder Gong excitedly walked toward Yi Wanwan, unable to help himself from running his eyes over every hair on her. Master, I'm back. Yi Wanwan smiled faintly at Elder Gong. Elder Gong's voice shifted slightly. This voice? Why did it sound so familiar? Yi Wanwan's voice was. However, he didn't think about it too much and immediately brought Yi Wanwan back to his residence at Scarlet Flames Academy. After a long conversation with Elder Gong, Yi Wanwan refrained from revealing her other identity and departed for the headmaster's office instead. Inside the office, the headmaster of Scarlet Flames was wearing his reading glasses and holding a pen as he read through some documents requiring his attention. Worryless is here to see the headmaster. Yi Wanwan greeted him with a smile when she entered the headmaster's office. The headmaster of Scarlet Flames immediately looked up and examined Yi Wanwan. You're worryless? The headmaster was surprised. A young woman truly changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. You've lost your previous youth and coldness and gained some liveliness. I nearly couldn't recognize you. Yi Wanwan. Headmaster, actually, I came here wanting to ask about mercenary honor points. Yi Wanwan got straight to the point. If it was worryless Nie, she believed she should have left a lot of mercenary points at Scarlet Flames Academy. Yi Wanwan previously inquired Elder Gong about this topic, but the elderly man wasn't too knowledgeable about this subject, so she had no choice but to come and ask the headmaster himself. Normally speaking, any large sum of mercenary honor points was personally recorded and saved by the headmaster. Great, worryless, you're finally back. You haven't forgotten about the 3 million honor points you owe Scarlet Flames Academy, right? The headmaster stood up and walked toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. What? Her worryless Nie identity not only lacked a large sum of mercenary honor points, but she also actually owed Scarlet Flames Academy 3-something million. What cosmic joke was this? Worryless, do you still remember the mercenary points you owe? The headmaster hastily pressed when Yi Wanwan didn't speak. I don't remember it at all. Worryless. Yi Wanwan looked at the elderly man. Headmaster, have you mistaken me? I'm not worryless Nie. You aren't worryless? The headmaster wore an extremely strange expression as he stared at Yi Wanwan. I'm definitely not worryless Nie. Headmaster, look at me. How do I resemble worryless Nie? You've recognized the wrong person. Yi Wanwan hastily said. Before the headmaster could say anything else, Yuanwan seriously said, "Sorry for the trouble. Farewell." "Oh, I remember now, it's Scarlet Flame's Academy that owes Worryless Nya at least 3 million honor points. I've become muddle-headed in my age." The headmaster mused with a shake of his head. Yuanwan had just stepped outside the headmaster's office when she suddenly heard that, so she immediately turned around and returned. "Headmaster, I'm Worryless. I've come back to see you." The headmaster glanced at her. "No, you aren't." No, Sir Headmaster, I'm Worryless. I'm really Worryless, Nya. Look carefully." Yuanwan urgently said. "All right. Then when will you repay the 3 million mercenary points you owe to Scarlet Flame's Academy?" The headmaster was grinning. "Fuck me." Yuanwan felt her lips twitching as she looked at the grinning headmaster. How did that saying go? Old ginger is spicier than young ginger. This old ginger actually tricked her. Worryless, 3 million honor points isn't some small sum. You should know that, right? You see how I didn't hassle you all those years when you were gone from the independent state? You must have returned here today to repay those honor points, right? The headmaster questioned her in good humor. Yuanwan didn't refute this point. Forget about 3 million mercenary honor points. Even if it was 17 or 1800,000, she couldn't manage to gather that amount, so she could imagine what an astronomical number 3 million honor points were. However, what she couldn't understand was how she owed so many honor points back then. "Worryless, why aren't you talking?" the headmaster asked. "Headmaster, truthfully speaking, aside from being Worryless Nya, I have a second identity." Yuanwan responded with a faint smile. "A second identity?" The headmaster wore an odd expression. "Tell me about it." "Do you still remember Yuanwan, headmaster?" Yuanwan asked. "Yuanwan, that girl who still owes me several 10,000 honor points?" The headmaster nodded. He remembers quite well who owes him mercenary points. "Sir Headmaster, truthfully speaking, I'm Yuanwan." "You're that Yuanwan?" The headmaster was astonished. "That's right." Yuanwan nodded lightly. "The reason I previously asked you to hypnotize me was that I lost my original memories." Since she lost her memories, how could she still remember she owed Scarlet Flame's Academy 3 million honor points? Hold on. The headmaster stared at Yuanwan and mulled over the matter for a moment before asking with a frown. "So what you're saying is that since you lost your memories, you don't need to repay the 3 million mercenary points you owe?" Although that idea did pop up. No. Yuanwan frantically shook her head and looked at him. "Sir Headmaster, you've misunderstood. Don't you know me? Am I Worryless Nya, someone like that?" "Yes." The headmaster nodded without any hesitation. Yuanwan's expression turned embarrassed. Was the old her really this shameless and left such an indestructible image in the headmaster's mind? "Sir Headmaster, how could I be someone who would leave a debt unpaid? Look, how about you help me recover my memories first? As long as my memory's recovered, I'll repay every single mercenary point I owe to Scarlet Flame's Academy." Yuanwan promised with a smile on her lips. The headmaster suspiciously scrutinized Yuanwan. "I don't believe you." "Sir Headmaster, look, I already owe 3 million mercenary points, so a couple thousand is nothing more. I guarantee that as soon as I regain my memories and remember the honor points I owe, I'll definitely pay everything back." Yuanwan looked convicted. The headmaster felt helpless. Why was it so difficult to ask someone to settle an account? Was she accustomed to owing a debt? She had two identities, but both identities owed mercenary honor points to the Scarlet Flame's Academy. The headmaster was brimming with exasperation. He shouldn't have set this precedent from the start. "Adding what you previously owe. Let me calculate it." The Scarlet Flame's headmaster sank into contemplation. Seeing hope, Yuanwan immediately grinned. "Sir Headmaster, what's there to calculate? At that time, the moment I recover my memory, I swear I'll pay back every point I owe. If I owe a single cent, I'll be struck by lightning." "Really?" the headmaster asked uncertainly. "Really, absolutely. Realer than actual gold." Yi frantically nodded. In the end, the headmaster sighed with profound exasperation. Fine, I'll believe you one last time. Lie down in your usual spot. Yi immediately lay down on the armchair. The headmaster prepared for a while before moving toward Yi. Following the string of hints from the headmaster, Yi soon felt her world spiraling and fatigue hitting her. Within moments, she lost consciousness completely. Grandpa, it's so cold. They were on what seemed to be a snow-capped mountain, and snow was falling heavily from the sky, covering the big trees around them. The girl was bent over as she followed the strict-looking elderly man in front of her, carefully treading on the snow. With every step she took, she sank to her knees in the accumulated snow. Worryless, follow Grandpa, the elderly man said to the girl looking back. Grandpa, I'm really cold. The girl was shivering all over as she traversed through the snow. The pain you're suffering right now will become your greatest wealth in the future, do you understand? The elderly man responded apathetically. But Grandpa, I'm really cold. The girl stared at him tearfully. The elderly man was silent for a long while before slowly walking up and picking her up into his arms. Grandpa's so warm. The girl used her hands, which were frozen red, to embrace his neck. You'll walk by yourself once we get up ahead. The elderly man quickly strode forward while carrying the girl. Yi Wanwan's heart trembled. Was that imposing elderly man her grandfather? But where in the world did Grandpa go? Where is he? Are you warm now? About half an hour later, the elderly man carried the girl out of the snow and arrived at a tall hill. Yes, I'm warm. The girl nodded emphatically. Walk by yourself. The elderly man gently placed the girl back on the ground. Grandpa, I'm hungry. The girl looked at the elderly man pitifully, clutching her stomach. Worryless, do you still remember why you came here? The elderly man turned around and stared at her expressionlessly. I know, Grandpa. The girl nodded. Grandpa is going to train me to endure hardships and work hard, so that I can become a superior person in the future. Since endure it. Regardless of how arduous your surroundings are, you have to face them with a smile. Understood? Worryless understands. The girl smiled, but her smile promptly disappeared and turned into a pitiful expression. But I'm really hungry. Worryless is afraid of starving to death and not seeing Brother Chiron ever again. You. The elderly man was finally somewhat angered, but he sighed in the end. He started a fire nearby. Stay warm here and don't leave. Understood? Yes, the girl agreed. The elderly man then turned and left. About 15 minutes later, the elderly man returned from the distance, holding a wild hare. Sitting down next to the open fire, the elderly man cleaned and prepared the hare with a dagger before placing it above the flames to roast. Soon, the scent of roasted hare permeated the air, and saliva dripped out of the girl's mouth as she stared at the golden, gleaming hare meat. Worthless. The elderly man used his hand to wipe the drool clean from the girl's mouth. Wait a little longer. It's too hot. The elderly man scolded when he saw her reaching out. Okay. The girl had no choice but to wait anxiously after being scolded. Grandpa, why didn't we bring any dry food? The girl looked at her grandfather in incomprehension as she waited. The elderly man stared at her. When you grow up, you might need to survive in the wild. At that time, what would you do if you didn't have any dry food on you? Would you wait for your death? If you learn all these survival skills, even if you didn't have anything to eat or drink at that time, you could get through any desolate situation with ease. Do you understand? Worryless understands, Grandpa. The girl nodded with some comprehension. Eat. The elderly man handed the whole hare to the girl. Grandpa, you also haven't eaten for a whole day. You eat, the girl replied. Hurry and eat. I'm not hungry. The elderly man seemed to lack patience. Hearing that her grandfather wasn't hungry, the girl started drooling again as she stared at the hare. She placed it next to her nose and took a sniff before chomping down. The elderly man had extracted all of the bones from the hare already, so it was easy for her to eat it. Grandpa, I'm full. Sometime later, she spoke to the elderly man. The elderly man looked at the small half of the hare remaining and silently picked it up before finishing the rest of it. Late at night, inside a cave, snow was still falling outside the cave. The fire pile inside the cave was bright and warm, so the girl didn't feel cold in her spot next to the fire. When the girl was about to fall asleep, she seemed to hear weak calls for help outside the cave, and also some howling from wolves. The girl jolted awake almost instantly. "Grandpa, I think there's someone there," the girl cautiously said while looking at the elderly man who had his eyes completely closed. However, the elderly man didn't move, as though he'd fallen asleep. The calls for help became more and more obvious, and the girl finally scrounged up the courage and slowly treaded outside the cave. "Help!" Outside the cave, a little boy was panting with a face of terror. Blood was flowing from the corners of his eyes, and an astounding wound seemingly caused by sharp claws could be faintly seen. The boy was sprawled on the ground as he rapidly scooted back using both his hands and feet. However, he was merely a child, so how could he compare to the speed of a wild animal? In the blink of an eye, a snowy white wolf, whose fangs glinted chillingly, pounced at the boy with a roar. The boy's face was ghastly pale, and he still subconsciously cried for help in his despair. Suddenly, a bright light rushed into his world, and the blazing heat seemed to melt the snow around them. The girl had sprinted toward the boy's side with a burning wooden stick in hand, wildly waving the torch at the wolf. The girl was incredibly scared, but she still remembered how her grandfather once said wolves feared fire the most. The boy was stunned as he stared at this girl, who was only a little bigger than her. This girl seemed to have descended from the sky. Her fearless background filled him with a mysterious sense of safety. The wolf stared at the girl intently, its tail drooping and its eyes shining coldly. Its fangs, which could rip through everything, struck terror into people's hearts. Currently, the wolf was quietly growling at her. "Grandpa, I'm scared." The girl kept nervously looking back at the cave. At that moment, she was regretful. Why didn't she wake Grandpa up, and why did she run out here by herself? The girl's torch flickered from the bursts of wintry wind, with the possibility of getting extinguished at any second. The girl waved the torch and walked backward to the boy's side, finally seeing his appearance. His large eyes were very spirited and his skin was fair. Unfortunately, the corner of his eye was scratched, but thankfully, his eyeballs weren't injured. Also, it was winter, so it wasn't too treacherous. "We'll walk toward the cave. My grandpa's there," the girl said to the boy. I can't walk." The boy shook his head. He struggled to stand up, but it was a futile effort. The girl immediately knelt down and supported his arm with one arm while keeping her hold on the torch with the other, continually brandishing it toward the wolf that was prepared to leap toward them any second. Worryless. Suddenly, the elderly man slowly walked out of the cave and looked at the girl with a tinge of displeasure. "Grandpa, hurry and save us," the girl ardently cried. The elderly man didn't say anything and quickly walked toward the girl. The wolf growled and sprang toward the elderly man. Swish. A kick was seen and the wild wolf was kicked up a dozen or so meters, crashing onto the ground, ceasing to breathe. "Come back." The elderly man picked the girl up. "Grandpa, him too," the girl pointed at the boy. The elderly man glanced at the boy before also picking him up and bringing him inside the cave. "What's your name?" the girl asked the boy. The boy shook his head. "Why are you here by yourself? Where's your dad and mom?" The girl continued to ask. The boy turned silent, seemingly unwilling to answer this question. After a long while, the boy suddenly asked, "Grandfather, can I follow you? I don't have a home." "Grandpa." The girl kept shaking the elderly man's arm while staring at him. A moment later, the elderly man closed his eyes and aloofly replied, "N." Yuan surveyed the boy. Was this boy the current president of the martial arts union? The injury by his eye was enough to reveal his identity. Yuan found it unbelievable. It turned out she shared this past with the current president of the martial arts union. However, Yuan couldn't understand it. If they shared this past, why did that boy want to kill her after growing up? Just what kind of misfortune had happened between then and now? The truth was within reach, but it sent Yuan's head splitting with pain. Her own issues seemed to be preventing her from recalling the supposed truth. The scene abruptly changed. The girl had become a slender and graceful teenager. At a slum in the Independent State. The girl was walking on the streets when she was bumped. Nearby, a somewhat raggedly dressed teenage boy stuck his tongue out at her and rolled his eyes, a defiant expression on his face. Within moments, the youth fled without a trace. The girl aloofly chased after the youth to a remote alley. I stole an idiotic woman's money, ha ha ha. The youth snickered as he looked at the shy-looking boy next to him. Big Dipper. That's very dangerous, the boy responded after a silence. What are you afraid of? Don't worry, you'll get to eat meat following me. Sadly, my mom's health isn't good, so I can't take you home. But don't worry, as long as I have a mouthful of soup to drink, you'll have a piece of meat to eat. The youth clapped his chest. The man next to Big Dipper shyly peered at Big Dipper before quickly nodding. Thank you. Blah, you're insulting me. What's there to thank? We're brothers, good brothers. We're loyal and self-sacrificing, ha ha. Big Dipper burst into laughter. Big Dipper, where's your dad? The shy boy suddenly asked after a long silence. The dirty Big Dipper turned quiet. A long time passed before Big Dipper finally replied. My mom said my dad went far, far away, and it'll be a long, long time before he can return. When will that be? The timid boy asked. Winter probably, Big Dipper answered cheerily. Aha, are you dumb? It's all a lie to fool others. My dad either ran off with a mistress or he died. My mom must have told me that because she didn't want to make me sad. Big Dipper's voice was tinged with some loneliness. Don't look at me like that. You're more tragic than me. At least I still have a mom while both your dad and mom are dead, Big Dipper said with a sigh. Amen. The shy boy quietly agreed. Forget about that boring stuff. Let's see how much money that idiotic woman had. Big Dipper's dirty hand excitedly pulled out the wallet. Damn. The two boys stared at the bursting wallet, their eyes shining brightly. For you. Big Dipper took out more than half the bills and handed them to the shy boy. I can't. This is yours. I can't take it. The shy boy shook his head. Why are you acting like a girl and dawdling? I'm giving it to you, so take it. I'll need to use the rest of this to buy some medicine for my mom. She keeps coughing lately and I've bought a lot of cold medicine, but it's not improving, Big Dipper said. You should keep it for Auntie's medicine, the timid boy said. It's fine, I can just go and steal more. I have this skill which you don't have, so take more, Big Dipper cheerily replied. The shy boy hesitated for a long time before finally thanking Big Dipper. However, he only took a few slips but wouldn't take any more regardless of what Big Dipper said. Thank you, the shy boy looked at Big Dipper. What's there to thank? When you have money and I don't, you've gotta lend more to me. Although I can't guarantee whether I will repay it or not, Big Dipper said after a moment of thought. Big Dipper, what's your dad's surname? The shy boy suddenly asked. Big Dipper was startled. My surname is Big, so how could my dad's surname be small? Of course my dad's surname is also Big. Oh. Then I don't think your dad ran off with a mistress. Otherwise your surname would follow your mom's, the shy boy analyzed. And you're right. Big Dipper bobbed his head. Then my dad, he's probably dead, the shy boy said with a tone of conviction. Big Dipper looked at the other boy dumbstruck. I think maybe you should return the money to me? How can you ask for it back once you've already given it away? A pleasant voice rang out from behind the two boys before the shy boy could respond. The duo automatically turned around at the same time. A slender and graceful teenage girl with an apathetic expression had been standing behind them since who knew when. Ah, idiotic woman. Big Dipper jolted in fright when he saw the girl, and he immediately stumbled back. The girl stared at Big Dipper and suddenly shot up and pinched Big Dipper by his ear using her right hand. Don't run. I'm an idiotic woman, no? What are you scared of? Blah, idiotic woman, there's two of us and only one of you. However, as they say, a good man doesn't fight a woman, so I'm telling you, hurry and leave. Both of us are vicious criminals. There's no difference between us and monsters, so I'm telling you, hurry and flee. Otherwise, don't blame us for bullying a woman. My clean knife will come out red. Big Dipper threatened while wailing. What an intimidating threat, the girl said with a grin. Good. As long as you know to be scared. I won't say it again. Hurry and flee or else I will attack. Big Dipper shouted. What are you waiting for? The teenager asked cheerily. 7-star, leave first. My attacks are vicious, so I'm afraid of scaring you. Big Dipper said to the other boy. 7-star. Idiotic woman, release me if you have the nerve. I'll show you how fearsome I am. Big Dipper tried to kick the girl but made contact with the air. All right, as you wish. The girl released Big Dipper's ears and took a step back. Big Dipper rubbed his ear and looked at the shy youth. 7-star, you saw it, right? I told her to release me, and she had to release me. In my domain, who doesn't show me respect? 7-star. Little brother, you're quite interesting. The girl chuckled lightly. Blah. Who's your little brother? Call me Lord Big. Big Dipper harshly rebuked. Then Big Dipper screamed and dashed toward the girl, his body turning and sending a kick into the air. Read more chapter on our VIP novel. Calm. The girl stood unmoving in her spot, and Big Dipper didn't perform this kick well. One careless move later, he didn't kick his intended target and fell onto the ground himself. Heh, this move seems quite difficult, the girl remarked. I'll spit in your face. I, Lord Big, am just soft-hearted and think you're pretty good-looking, so I was being kind to a girl and was afraid of killing you. Big Dipper scoffed. Before the girl could respond, Big Dipper sighed and added, Forget it, forget it. Seeing how young and pretty you are, I'll spare you today. Don't make me see you again from now on. I'll give you a beating every time I see you. Don't think I'm joking with you. Big Dipper sprinted to the front of the shy youth. 7-star, give me some face today and let this idiotic woman off easy. Let's go. The shy youth. I'm all right then. Don't leave. Let's chat some more. The girl chuckled and took a step forward, blocking the two boys. Fine, fine, fine. Big Dipper stared at her. Idiotic woman, it's you who forced me. In truth, you're old and ugly. You ugly freak. Big Dipper coldly continued. Since it's like this, I'll show you my true strength. I'm waiting. The girl smiled aloofly. A second later, Big Dipper headed toward the girl with a dark expression and snorted. Are you ready, idiotic woman? The flowers are wilting from the weight, the girl replied. The next second, Big Dipper dropped down onto his knees with a plop and prayed with his hands above him. Aha! Sister, beautiful elder sister, I was wrong. Please pardon this humble fool for my mistake. Spare me. Beautiful sister, look at how young I am. As they say, who doesn't have a period of arrogance in their youth? One day, when I make a comeback, I'll definitely massacre those who've done me wrong. Don't pinch me. I'm kneeling for you already. While Big Dipper was speaking, his ear was attacked again, pinched between the girl's fingers. Don't bully Big Dipper. At that moment, the shy youth ran over and stared at the girl menacingly. What's the relationship between you two? The girl inquired out of curiosity. We're brothers, the shy youth vehemently declared. Big sister, he's still young, so be the bigger person. How about I write you an IOU and we'll let it pass? What do you want to do, huh? I have someone above me. If you dare to hurt me, someone will definitely seek you out for revenge. As they say, when will an eye for an eye ever end? Why don't we raise a glass to the sky instead? A glass for you and a glass for me, and let's get drunk together. The girl glanced at Big Dipper. You might be an idiot. Big Dipper was startled. How do you know? My mom also said that. He's not an idiot, the shy youth cried agitatedly. The girl suddenly released her hold, returning freedom to Big Dipper's ear. Why are you stealing? She asked. I have a skill, so how wasteful would it be if I didn't use it? Big Dipper hastily replied. The girl. We don't have any money. I haven't eaten for a long time. He's unwilling to go home so he can stay with me. The shy youth mumbled sometime later, his head lowered. Where's your dad and mom? The girl turned to the shy youth. They're both dead. The shy youth's voice was soft. What about your dad and mom? The girl looked at Big Dipper. TCH, my mom's health isn't good, and my dad ran off with a mistress. What about it? Big Dipper asked. The girl stared at Big Dipper, confusion on her face. His mom's health wasn't good and his dad ran off with a mistress. What in the world was he so proud about? No, Big Dipper. Your dad's probably dead. The shy youth corrected seriously. Damn you. Your dad's dead. My dad ran off with a mistress. Big Dipper pursed his lips. My dad is dead, that's right, but your dad definitely didn't run off with a mistress. Your dad is also dead, the shy youth said. My dad ran off with a mistress. Big Dipper looked worked up. All right, enough. The girl immediately interrupted their conversation and looked at Big Dipper. Your dad ran off with a mistress. That's right, my dad definitely ran off with a mistress. Take my word for it. Big Dipper nodded vehemently. Do you two plan to keep stealing for the rest of your lives? The girl asked. Haha, he doesn't have that skill, so of course it's going to be me doing the stealing. Big Dipper looked rather proud. Then you two can follow me from now on. The girl smiled. This way, your mom will have money to treat her illness and you two can also live better. How about it? Sister, will we be full every day? The shy youth stared at her intently. That'll depend on whether you work hard or not, the girl replied. I can bear a lot of hardship. 7-Star hastily responded. Wow, are you telling the truth? If we follow you, we can earn money for my mom's treatment? Big Dipper also asked. Of course. The girl nodded with a smile. Then it's a yes from me. Big Dipper nodded immediately. Sure for me too, the shy youth echoed. Let's go. I'll take you to your new home. The girl turned around and started to leave. Sister, what's your name? The shy youth shouted. Bai Feng. Bai for white and Feng for maple leaf. You can call me Sis Feng from now on. The girl answered without looking back. Shit, Sis Feng, wait for us. Big Dipper and 7-Star chased after her at once. Furthermore, Big Dipper's foolishness wasn't feigned. He had been this foolish since he was young, sincerely foolish. The scene changed again. Countless major and minor scenes and dribs and drabs of memories rushed into Yi Wanwan's mind. Some memories were particularly clear, while other memories were incredibly blurry, like a jumbled ball. Her handful of interactions with her parents, her bickering and jesting with her brother, her being pummeled to the floor by piece of shit, her nervousness and unease when she gave birth to Tang Tang, her quarrels and sweet moments with Si Yihan. Suddenly the scene stopped in a study. The teenage girl had become increasingly good-looking. She sat on one side of the desk and propped her chin up with her hand as she dazedly stared at the unrivaled man, enamored. A Shiran who ruins countries, a child who is matchless. The girl's eyes were brimming with adoration, as though every cell in them was filled by this man. There wasn't a single fault in the man's exquisite, chiseled face. An aloof smile perpetually hung from his lips, and even his intoxicating eyes were filled with a careless gentleness and a scholarly feeling. Worryless. The man set down the pen and paper in his hands and tenderly looked at the girl with a smile in his eyes. Suddenly, the scene changed and the world spiraled and twirled. Every scene related to Ji Xiran was ripped into shreds like a piece of paper. In Yi Wanwan's mind, the man didn't say a word and merely snapped his finger lightly, causing every memory related to Ji Xiran to disappear. Yi Wanwan suddenly jolted awake, sweat drenching her face. Next to her, the headmaster stared at Yi Wanwan with knitted brows, his expression turning odder. How could this be? Yi Wanwan murmured, turning to the headmaster immediately. Pause. The headmaster intently looked at her and asked, What did you see? I seem to have forgotten some memories. Yi Wanwan looked contemplative. Indeed. All of your memories disappeared, so it's normal for many minor details or scenes to be blurry or forgotten. But there's no way you would forget the major things unless your own subconscious is unwilling to recall it. The headmaster replied. I'm unwilling to remember it? Yi Wanwan frowned. For example, the matters related to the Martial Arts Union, her grandpa, and that new president of the Martial Arts Union. Was she unwilling to remember those things? But what was the case with Ji Xiran? The shattering of those memories filled her with apprehension. I can't recall any of my memories related to Ji Xiran. Moreover, A scene appeared where he snapped his fingers in the depths of my mind and every memory related to him dispersed into dust. Yuanwan automatically said. A realization dawned on the headmaster. No wonder. There was someone before me who hypnotized you. And they probably completely sealed off a portion of your memories. Based on what you said, it was Ji Xiran who sealed the memories between you and him. And I'm afraid, even I can't help you recall them. Ji Xiran was his proudest and most talented student. Ji Xiran's accomplishments in hypnotism had grown much stronger than him, Scarlet Flames Academy's headmaster, a long time ago. Ji Xiran hypnotized me? But why? What was his objective? Yuanwan's thoughts felt a bit chaotic. Maybe he didn't want you to remember something you shouldn't remember, or maybe he was afraid you'd be sad or something. Haha, I'm just guessing. Don't take it seriously, the headmaster said with a meaningful overtone and smiled. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.